Morning Primer, picking up where Mindset and Motivation Monday left off. No hype, just strategy, mindset, and direction from KGCI, Real Estate on Air.
Elevate your life. Elevate your business. Welcome to the Elevated Results Podcast.
How can you optimize your results? How can you become more efficient and more effective without putting out more energy? When I think about optimizing our energy and really taking care of ourselves, we need to work harder on ourselves than we work on our business. That is what Jim Rohn always said. Work harder on yourself than you work on your business. When I think about a cell phone, if I don't charge my phone at night all throughout the day and I utilize it for work in my real estate business, all throughout the day, it's not optimizing, it's nearly dead, it's not functioning the way that it should. But if I plug it in at night and I wake up in the morning and I go to utilize it all day, it's much more effective, it's faster, and it does the job better. We are like our phone batteries. We are like a battery. We need to optimize and refuel ourselves so that we can work in optimal condition. So what are you doing to take care of yourself? What are you doing to refuel and recharge your battery so that when you show up in your business, you're much more effective and efficient? It all starts with the power of our rituals, how we're showing up every day, but it's how we're taking care of ourselves in everyday life. How do we work harder on ourselves than we work on our business? Now, I know when people hear that, if they're successful business owners, they think, how does that really happen? How do you work harder on yourself than you work on your business? Because when you take care of yourself, when you refuel yourself, when you recharge, you have more battery to give back into your business. You're able to shine brighter. You're able to show up with full energy and be able to attract the things that you want in your business, which is people, places, and things. So the power of that co-elevation is surrounding yourself with people that ignite that within you. I got to go to EXPCon Canada this year. That is the true meaning of co-elevation, because you surround yourself with people and you're in an environment that's out of your comfort zone and you feel everyone's energy. It's a space where you can learn, where you get to learn from other successful people. Tony always says that there's 3 pillars to success. The first one is doing some form of live immersive event a year where you're physically put into another environment, where you are out of your comfort zone, when you're in that space where you're open to learn and elevate by surrounding yourself with people who have the results that you want. Because if you're the smartest person in the room or you're the most successful person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You need to surround yourself with people that are going to elevate your energy, not just match you. They're going to elevate your energy for the person that you want to become, the person that you need to be to turn your dreams into your reality and to get the results that you're looking for. So we don't have to do this alone. And I know that since the pandemic, a lot of businesses have turned where they're virtual, people are working from home, and there's that loss of connection. This is where those live immersive events are very important, because you're surrounding yourself with people, you're igniting that energy within yourself to elevate. And we're in a day and age where you can literally find any piece of information that you want. If you want to know how to do something, there is a tutorial for absolutely everything. If you want success or there's a result you're looking to achieve in your business, someone's probably already done it before you. You just have to look at what their recipe was. But again, if you're not taking care of yourself and you're not in optimal condition and you're not focusing on yourself, how are you going to give that back into your business? When I am fulfilled, I have that energy that flows through me. I'm inspired and I have a creative energy to start to become the creator of my business and start to implement and integrate the things that I've learned. And a lot of these are things that I've learned from other people, or I've learned at that live event in a self-immersive environment. The second piece to that is coaching. It's having a coach. Now, often when we have a coach, if you think of when you're playing hockey or you're playing a sport, I always played sports growing up. I played hockey, I played soccer. And when you're in the game and you're in the play, you're not always seeing what's happening around you because you're in it. But when you have your coach as a third-party perspective, they can see your blind spots. They can see the plays that maybe you can't see yet. They can anticipate and see things in a different perspective than we can. And there's an accountability piece, because if you can't show up for yourself, Sometimes there's somebody there to hold you accountable and to push you. And then you have that team surrounding you. You have a support team who's going to push you and ignite you and motivate you. Because let's be honest, we're not all motivated 100% of the time. Sometimes I'm extremely motivated and I know that I'm motivating and inspiring everyone around me with my energy, while other times I show up and I am not in that space. I am not showing up to the game at the highest caliber that I'm capable of. But my team, my support system around me, when they see that I'm not in that space, they can show up for me. They can energize me to step in. And there is that competitive spirit within each of us. And I know I am a competitive person in a good way. If I see my team is all going out there and they're giving it every little last bit of energy and effort and they're giving it their all, I'm not going to sit back and sit on my ass. I'm going to push myself. I'm going to find that energy, that potential within myself to start working a little bit harder. It's going to inspire me to take action, because if they're doing it, I'm going to want to keep up with them. But that's the power of having a coach. And if you can't afford a coach, find somebody who will hold you accountable. But getting yourself a coach, they're going to help you to see your blind spots. They're going to help you to see the plays that you can't see in your business, because business is a game. So if you have a coach that's going to help you to see maybe those blind spots you're missing in your business, or maybe the potential that you haven't seen and tapped into yet, you're going to be able to create a strategy that's going to help you move in the business game. That's going to help you to go get the goal that you're looking to achieve. And then the third one is, what are you doing every single day? What are you listening to every single day? What are those rituals? And I know I've talked about it a lot, but again, if you take ownership of your day, you're going to set the pace of the day versus the day taking ownership and setting the pace for you. In business, we're all using our cell phones. We're constantly at the call of someone else. We're a touch away from a phone call, a text message, any kind of distraction. So what are we doing to set ourselves up for success? How are we working harder on ourselves? How are we showing up fulfilled and grounded, so that when the phone call happens, or when all of a sudden all these problems in your business start arising, or people are upset, you are grounded and you can handle it. You can be the solution, because again, in business, we are just a solution to someone's problem. So how are you grounding yourself? How are you taking care of yourself, refueling, recharging yourself every single day? What kind of motivation are you listening to? This quote keeps coming up to me in my meditation. I did a retreat a little while ago that we hosted, and the thing that kept coming up to my mind was, to be a teacher, we must be a student. And we always have to be learning. We always have to be evolving. And even though we think we might know something, there's always somebody out there that knows more or has more success. And that's how we continue to progress, because we're either growing and we're moving forward, or we're stagnant and we're retracting. And that's where in life, there's always someone else out there that can teach you something. And I think we're human. Ego comes up. Sometimes I think myself, if I'm being completely transparent, as an independent contractor for Tony Robbins, the number one life and business strategist in the world, I was there for several years. And so when I start noticing that I have blind spots or something's not working in my life, sometimes I let ego be the driver, and I think, I already know that. And I don't listen to all the lessons that are coming my way. I don't look at, there's other teachers out there. There's people out there that have done more than me, that I can learn from, that I can grow from, that I can evolve. And that's where, to be a teacher, we must be a student. We must always be hungry for knowledge, to really grow in every aspect of our business, to grow as human beings, to continually become the better versions of ourselves. And when I think of some of the most successful people, the ones that I am really inspired by, the ones that I look up to, are the ones that are humble, the ones that are always continuing to grow, no matter where they're at in their life, no matter where they're at in the stage of the game. They're always humble, and they always are learning and looking for ways to become better, to do better, to show up in the world around them and for everyone that they love at a higher level. They don't stop once they hit a level. They don't let the ego get in the way, where the ego then thinks, I know everything, I don't have to learn. They continually have that hunger to become a better version, to show up better, to create more solutions, to grow their business, to do the best that they can at everything that they're doing. Because how we do one thing is how we do everything. So this can come up in themes. And often what we see in others can be a reflection of what we need to work on. So when I look at even talking through these podcasts, or when I look at coaching other clients, often when something keeps coming up and it's a reoccurring theme, I have to look at myself and look in the mirror and think, what is this teaching me? What is the reflection that I see in myself? What is the lesson here for me? How can I grow? What can I do? And that's where they say that we repeat what we do not repair. So often in life, people do the same thing over and over again and they expect a different result, but they haven't got the lesson yet. They haven't repaired it. So the universe, God, we keep going on rewind and we keep reliving the same experience because we have not repaired it. And it all comes down to ourselves. It all comes down to how we're taking care of ourselves. So I want to ask you that. What are you doing to refuel yourself? What are you doing to reset? What are you doing to recharge your battery? What are you doing to recalibrate, reset, and refocus, realign, and take action? What are you doing? And so when it comes to our business, and we look at how are we resetting, how are we recharging? Well, in the real estate industry, and I'm sure it's like this in other businesses, but coming from Canada, especially Alberta, winter months are cold. People don't typically want to move in the winter so much. People will still move if they have to, but they would prefer to move when it's warmer, when it's spring, because when we feel the seasons change, we can feel the energy around us shift. We can feel that the society as a whole, everything starts to pick up in the spring. It progresses through the summer. There's energy because the sun's out, it's warmer, and more people want to move then. Well, in the wintertime, it's cold. There's a lot of snow. People don't want to move. It's a slower time for us in our business. That is a time when you can really recharge. That's when you can really refuel and reset because you know that you have the time. And then you can figure out how is that going to benefit you throughout the rest of the year? How can you utilize that time to reset and refocus so that you can recalibrate for the upcoming year? What can you do to elevate your results and optimize and maximize your results in the upcoming year in your business? So it all starts with the things that we're doing consistently. It's not usually one big thing that we're going to implement that's going to change our business. It's not going to change the way our business operates. It's the things that we do every single day. It's the consistency to make the phone call, the consistency to get up on time and make sure that you get your butt to the gym, to make sure that you do your morning rituals, to make sure that you're sitting down in your office or you're doing whatever actions you need to do that are going to move the needle forward to get you the result that you're looking to achieve. Because I do believe in the power of manifestation, but we have to put the work in. We can't expect the universe to move everything into alignment for us if we won't take the step towards it. We have to take the action. And once we start taking that action, the momentum will start to create because the more energy we expend, the more energy we have. I have talked about this often, but it was one of the biggest accomplishments I've done physically was a few years ago. I ran on a treadmill for 12 hours straight. And the wild thing to me was I kept hearing Tony's voice in my ear that the more energy you expend, the more energy you will have. But I ran 12 hours straight on a treadmill, and I could not believe that when I got off that treadmill, I know I was a little sore. It was hard to walk. My feet were bleeding. My toenails had fallen off. But I had energy. I felt like I could have kept running. And when I look back at that, I think 12 hours, the more energy I had, the more I expended. So has that ever happened to you when you were maybe working out and before you got to the gym, you were sitting on the couch and you had low energy, you didn't feel good, but then as soon as you got to the gym and you started doing the workout, or as soon as you put on your running shoes and you started running, you could feel your energy. That's because you cultivated that energy, and the more energy we expend, the more we have. That's just how business is. So if we show up and we have more energy, we're going to put that into our business. We're going to be able to optimize and maximize in our business. So first, starting with that ritual, what are you doing every single day to refuel, reset, refocus? And then the strategy piece of how you're physically taking care of yourself, because the harder we work on ourselves, the more it's going to flow over into our business. So what could you do to become a better version of yourself? What do you need to do to work harder on yourself to become that version of yourself that is needed to achieve your goals? So when I work through a routine is I wake up in the morning, I make sure I go do my meditation, then I go to the gym, then I come back, then I sit down and I do my incantations, then I sit down and I go to work. That would be my routine. My ritual is what I do every single morning, which is 10 to 15 minutes. That would be your meditation, doing your 3 to Thrive, focusing on your goals, thinking about your goals, feeling them, seeing them, doing that form of meditation. That can be a ritual. But a routine is when you put those rituals together and you actually create a routine. So we can get stagnant in them. I know I do sometimes. I feel like I've maybe outgrown them in other aspects of my life. I need to push myself because after you do something over and over again, it becomes second nature to us. It becomes comfortable because you've done it so many times. So that's great. You've elevated to a certain point. But again, if we're always wanting to grow, we always need to keep growing. We need to change something. We need to push ourselves. So what does that routine look like where you need to work a little bit harder? What does that routine look like in your business where you need to focus on maybe taking actions and pushing it a little bit further? Ed Mylett he wrote the book, The Power of One More, and I think about that often. What's one more minute on the treadmill? What's one more phone call? How can you do one more thing every single day? Because if you do that for 365 days of the year, think about where you and your business are going to be. Think about the results that you're going to be able to accomplish this year if you utilize that mindset of working harder on yourself than you work on your business and utilizing the power of one more, pushing yourself just a little bit further. So when we think about real estate, I obviously reference real estate a lot because I'm in the industry. That could look like doing something different. That could look like last year reviewing what worked well in your business. What actions did you take? Because we have to measure our progress or we won't really know what's working. We won't be able to see where we were and where we are now, how we can pivot things, how we can start to see our actions come into fruition and really start unleashing our results. We need to measure it. So how are you tracking that? Look back at even this first quarter in the year of 2024, look at the quarter and look at the results you've got. What actions did you take that got you to that result? Maybe things that were working for you last year aren't working anymore. So what's something you can do a little bit different? An action that you can take that's going to push you, that's in alignment with you and your business. So again, maybe it's a phone call, maybe it's knocking on a door, maybe it's a different social media strategy. It's figuring out something that's going to push you and challenge you to grow, to show up as that version of yourself that is needed to unlock that dormant potential that lies within you, because we are all capable of more than we think we are. And when we can start to believe that, we can start to see it come into fruition. So it starts to really manifest into our reality. So this year, I have stepped into this new version of myself, this next higher version of myself, which I continue to grow and strive to be. But this year, I finally have finished my first book, Connected in Chaos. And it took me 4 years to write it. I started it in the pandemic. I'd always had an intuitive guidance that I was going to write a book. I just felt a call from the universe, and I just felt this intuitive guidance that I needed to write this book. And I got the name. It was Connected in Chaos. It came to me right away. Although I didn't really know what I was going to put in it, I knew that it was a spiritual business book. And over 4 years, I started writing this book. And I would put it away for a bit, then I'd come back to it. But I kept hearing the universe, this whisper telling me that I needed to finish this book. I was being called to do it. And so this year, I was at home more because I've had my baby girl and she's 10 months old. So I was at home more. Luckily, my husband's been a great, huge support. And he gave me the space to complete my book. So it was something that I had to get really committed to. I had to step out of my comfort zone and put that time aside that every day I worked on my book, because it was something new and different. I had to get into a routine of it. I had to really focus on becoming the better version of myself, the version of me that is that best-selling author. I had to tap into that version of me before I would sit down and start to write my book. And it took a consistent schedule. It took me being consistent and working at it every single day to say that I've completed it. And now it's at the publishing stage. It's being edited. It's being published. And I just feel a deep sense of gratitude to know that I followed that voice. But that came from me working on myself. That came from me always trying to be a better version of me, which again, I always have to focus on every single day because I know that I'm going to keep growing. But it took that letting everything else go, letting go of what we think it's supposed to look like or what our life is supposed to look like. And it's trusting the guidance that's available to you. It's trusting your intuition and following it and really working on yourself. And you're not going to find that by exploring everything in the external world. You're not going to find that by looking for outside validation. You're not going to find that from asking your friends and family. You're going to find that from looking within your soul and asking yourself that. And if you don't know the answer, that is okay, because the answer is within the universe. It's within you. If you can just quiet all the distractions, you can quiet everything that's happening around you, you can tap into the higher version of yourself. You can tap into your intuition where all of the answers are already within you. You just need to quiet what's going on around you and start trusting in yourself. And the more you do that, the more that you're going to really trust that intuitive guidance that is available to you. Because it's taken me, I started this journey of spirituality and self-development like 8 years ago. I started when I was 25. And I continually have to focus on it. I continually have to work at it. But the more I did it, the more I focused on myself, the more I did the things that inspired me, that motivated me, that allowed me to be not in a comfortable place because it wasn't comfortable, but in a place where I felt like I was growing. I was surrounding myself with people that were elevating me. The more I started to trust that guidance, the more I started to trust myself, the more I started to trust the intuition muscle, as I say, because it is a muscle. We have to work at it. Just like if you're going to the gym, you have to continually lift weights. You have to continually work out so that you can start to build that muscle. And that's how your intuition is. That is how you really work on yourself every day. You work on your intuition so that before you know it, it becomes second nature to you. So with everything that you do, in every aspect of your business, work harder on yourself than you work on your business. When we were at EXPCon, I was listening to a very successful, awesome lady, and she was talking about how she got to accomplishing her RevShare goals. And what she said was, I laid in my meditation on my third eye until the universe gave me the answer. I told myself, I will not get up, I will not leave, I'm going to stay connected to the universe with my third eye until the answer comes to me, until the answer shows up. And that is how she figured out the strategy on how she makes over $100,000 a month in revenue share. She focused on herself, she focused on quieting the external distractions to allow that answer to be available to her because it was already within her through the universe. So work harder on yourself than you work on your business. I'll see you next time. Thank you for co-elevating with us today. If you found value in this, make sure you like and share it with your friends and family. And join our community by pressing subscribe. This is a space where we co-elevate, we'll inspire, motivate you, and push you to unleash your infinite potential and elevate your life and elevate your business with elevated results.